All right. Morning, everybody. Afternoon, evening, depending where you are in the world. My name is Evan Welchel. I am the Senior Director of Revenue Marketing here at GitLab. I'll be handling the SDR live update today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've got 11 o'clock, so we'll get rocking and rolling. What I'd like to do is run through my presentation quite quickly. This is my first time doing this functional update. I'll go through these, everyone's seen them, and then open up the opportunity for questions. But we'll do a very brief synopsis of what we're working on. There are quite a few changes coming to the SDR organization in the beginning of next quarter. So August 1st, we'll be doing a lot of different changes. All of them are geared towards one question: why? Why are we making these changes? Obviously, we're growing very rapidly, so we want to address the growth. We have tremendous demand right now coming to us, and so we want to address that demand more strategically and more effectively. We have requests from the SDR organization to create more defined career pathing for them as their careers grow within GitLab, and most importantly, alignment. So within the revenue marketing organization, we have field marketing, digital marketing programs, the ABM approach for GitLab, as well as the SDR organization. I believe that there is an opportunity for improvement in regards to how we all work together. It's been proven that when marketing and sales are more tightly aligned, you see a 20% uptick in sales. And so we're pushing really hard towards that alignment. What we're looking for is changing the organization from a global approach to geo leadership. There's an org chart in the slides, which I'll get to next, that will show you what that geo leadership will look like. We're aligning closer to the segmentation within our sales organization, so both commercial and enterprise organizations, and then supporting them further with field marketing and marketing program management aligned to SDR leadership from that functionality. The business need has dictated we need to grow. We need to grow the team and get to a baseline that is closer to the alignment we're shooting for over time, as mentioned before. So we are opening up several jobs, I think 19 to be exact, with a new management structure, new folks for enablement to help our SDR organization grow and develop, as well as tighter aligned teams to commercial. The biggest change is going to be the addition of an acquisition team, which I will walk through very quickly in the next couple slides. That is going to be a more strategic acquisition organization working cross-functionally with field marketing and digital marketing on micro programs. In regards to process and performance, we're looking at career pathing and SDR leveling, defining criteria for career progression, as well as different tracks. Not everybody wants to go into sales, so we're looking at how we help them get to marketing, how we help them get into an SA role, or perhaps operations, finance, different functionalities within the organization, and then defining both those tracks, but also the additional responsibilities for the different levels within the organization. The new structure with geo leadership will look like this with the current team, and it will evolve over time. So as I mentioned, we are adding enablement people to work with Michael Hamilton. Jay Burrows will take on a different role within APAC as that team continues to grow and scale, and will serve as the functional leader. The biggest change will be Mona Elliott will be moving from the BDR senior management role into a NORM senior management role. We will be hiring to backfill on the commercial side, as well as adding a commercial manager in EMEA, reporting to Elsha, who will be the functional leader for EMEA going forward as we continue to grow and scale that team, and then hiring out the acquisition team and manager. From an alignment perspective, we're looking at getting very closely aligned so we can be more strategic with our activities, both in field, digital, and the SDR organization, by aligning resources to different regions and territories. These are the personnel. It's pretty straightforward. If there's any questions on this, feel free to ask. The acquisition team is pretty simple. We're going to hire 6 very senior level SDRs, some potentially from internal, and a senior manager who has built successful open source acquisition teams before. What they're going to be responsible for, they're going to be a very nimble, pivotable team. who can execute integrated prospecting approaches. The need here is really to address growth within our sales organization. So in addition to a teamed SDR to a regional sales leader, when we're spinning up a new territory, this team will be able to go in and create demand through digital programs, through field programs, and obviously SDR activities as well. We'll have 4 of them based here and 2 in EMEA, and they will be aligned to a heat map, which I'll highlight here shortly, showing what pipeline demand is needed, but also available for special assignments as new folks come on board, or we have strategic activities that arise, or even potential field events. So what's next? What we're working on over the next 6 to 8 weeks prior to launching the new structure is the leveling and career progression to be defined and published to their handbook. The pipeline heat map, I've got a very rough mock-up that is going to be fully expanded, and that will help dictate direction as far as hiring, quotas, and where we point the acquisition team. We're going to be looking at instituting pipeline attribution goals for the team overall, expanding from a customer perspective, expanding our drift capabilities, which is our online chat, to more of a white glove ABM approach, so that we've got people aligned to accounts and familiar with accounts, talking to customers when and where they want to interact with us. We're going to be creating enablement tracks, as I mentioned before, for the SDR organization, and then changing a couple procedural aspects with lead ownership and the content that we use. Everything we are doing is going to be tracked in a master issue. This presentation happens to be in it now, as well as a recording from yesterday that I presented to the SDR organization, and can be followed. The heat map is pretty straightforward. It's going to tell us where we have pipeline gaps and where we should be focusing our attention. So if we understand, which we do, our close rates, our sales cycles, et cetera, we know what our pipeline needs are, and we can assign a number to that and utilize different marketing and revenue marketing activities and SDR activities to go and address areas where we have a gap. This is primarily what will be directing the acquisition team activities, but also helping highlight our growth plans from an SDR perspective and where we should be hiring. And the SDR leveling piece, we're looking at creating competencies and requirements to go to different levels within the organization, so that there's clearly defined career progressions and expectations to move on, including identifying a new team lead functionality, which will help in managing the organization. And then the different responsibilities of those levels are going to be clearly defined as well, so that everyone knows what actually they need to be doing within the organization when they reach that level. And so with that, very, very quick 7-minute synopsis. Want to open it up to questions. I don't see anything in the document right now, but please feel free to ask me to expand upon anything that I've covered, because that is quite literally the fastest I've ever delivered that presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions or provide further detail on what I just went through.
Hey, Evan.
Hey, Evan. Go for it.
All right. So just looking at, I know you kind of established the growth plan, but from what's currently there plus the growth, can you kind of break out how many SDR or XDRs there will be per commercial and enterprise and SMB?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the demand right now is very heavy in the commercial area. So we're looking to actually continue to invest and grow. So right now we're getting to a baseline, equal distribution to some extent across the organization without sacrificing coverage within the enterprise organization. We are moving to between 12 and 13 reps, as highlighted in the document, for the commercial organization, and splitting those teams. So we will actually have an EMEA commercial manager and a North America commercial manager. Because of the volume of inbound leads alone, we know we need to invest more headcount to handle those leads more strategically. So at this time, we're going to go from 6 to 12 or 13 initially. We'll continue to grow from there as the demand dictates.
Cool.
We're in that state now.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Evan, Sean Winters here. I had a question about the acquisition team. Would all the members of the acquisition team be focused on a particular area that was not, the right pipeline amount that they had wanted, or slacking, or how would that look? Like, would there be another SDR already working that territory, and the acquisition team would come and aid? Yeah.
So we will have assigned SDRs as a salesperson comes in and takes over a territory. They will have dedicated SDRs to their patch. Think of the acquisition team as additional air coverage. The initial concept is to have that acquisition team start either right when the salesperson starts or prior to, in lighting up the territory and creating that demand, so that we can create more at-bats and more conversations for that new greenfield territory.
Awesome, thank you.
And it could be, to go further into your question, it could be all 6 members of that team. It could be a portion of that team, depending on the need and depending on the demand, because I imagine we're going to have several areas to work on. David Summers, I see you typing a question. Do you want to go ahead and verbalize it?
Yeah, hey, and I saw in chat, Evan, request to stop sharing your screen so we can see more of that beautiful face, buddy.
I was actually intentionally not changing it so you wouldn't see me, but anyway, go ahead.
Thanks for the update. Good stuff. I was just curious of BDRs. Any changes that we should know about for? I know this is focused on SDRs, but
yep, absolutely. So I glossed over that, and that's an important detail. So thank you for asking that. Actually, there will no longer be a distinction between BDRs and SDRs. It will be one SDR organization. The functionality will switch from having dedicated inbound to being aligned to the sales segmentations. They'll be responsible for inbound and outbound. And that's partially why we're looking at adding additional headcount, is because there's a little bit of reactivity within the commercial sector right now. We want to increase the proactivity, and so that's why we're going to continue to invest there. The responsibilities between SDR organizations will be exactly the same. There will be no delineation between the reps like there is today. It'll just be who's working on commercial and who's working on enterprise. Cool. Any other questions?
So I'm mobile and can't type it in, so apologize. But so currently the measurement for an SDR is a sales accepted opportunity. I've heard a number of times in QBRs from other reps and myself that doesn't necessarily align, especially in enterprise, to IACV goals. Is there any thoughts around realigning that so goals are more common?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the heat map doc, what the heat map doc is going to help us dictate is what those pipeline needs are. I'm a firm believer in both the field and the XDR organization owning a part of the pipeline goal. So if it's, if there's a $10 million number and we know we need a 1.6x pipeline, there's a potential we could need to generate $16 million pipeline for that particular region or territory. I do have a plan in mind that we're working through as a leadership team right now for next quarter that does actually assign pipeline goals. SAOs are great. The SAO criteria is also going to be reevaluated, but we are absolutely going to be working towards having actual pipeline goals attributed to what we're creating.
Thank you.
Yep. And it's, honestly, to expand upon that, it is a quality over quantity approach from that perspective. Is, when you look at pipeline values and you could have 12 SAOs with an average deal size of 5K versus, 6 SAOs with an average deal size of 50K, I think one is a little bit more valuable than the other. So I think when you can focus on the pipeline goals, you can focus on the quality versus the quantity. And that actually ties back to the SAO criteria and the qualification criteria, but also helps inform activities within the field and digital teams as well.
Hey, Evan, just want to make sure you can hear me. This is Caleb. I did have a quick question about the acquisition team, and I hope this isn't redundant, but when you say warming up a territory or creating at bats, does that mean that they're going to be responsible for setting individual meetings within target organizations or target verticals, or is the focus more on setting awareness within a territory? And then I guess on the back of that, is there a stage for still learning more of the late stage sales cycles in case that person who's on that acquisition team wanted to go more into a sales or a closing role? Or is it just going to be build awareness, get out of there, and then let the enterprise SDRs kind of take over?
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be the opportunity to go later in the stage, potentially. There are still some pieces of this that are a work in progress, very much so. The initial intent absolutely is to go create opportunities or at least conversations and set meetings. Swim lanes will be very important there, right? So clearly a volume within a territory could be very large potentially as far as total addressable market. So we need to define the criteria on where the acquisition team is pointed versus where the named SDR is pointed, because we don't want to step on any toes. So there are still some execution pieces of this that need to be ironed out. The good news is I think we're headed in the right direction with it. As far as how deep we go, TBD.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Hey, Evan, this is Dara, Marketing Ops. Just a thought that with a lot of SDRs on the call, if they are interested in that acquisition team and what that looks like, are you looking for specific expertise, or what are you looking for as a job description? I don't know if that's been posted yet, or if you want to give them an idea of what.
Yep. So I think a couple of years experience is important in the role. A lot of experience in outbounding, familiarity with field marketing and digital campaigns is a great asset to have, because we'll be working very closely with those organizations on executing those campaigns. But having the ability to strategically approach an account, having the ability to create the right content that will resonate with a prospect. It's not just a smile and dial approach. It is absolutely a strategic approach. There will be a volume aspect to it, obviously, because we want to build up demand within a territory, but we want to be respectful about the way we do it. And those jobs are posted. And I had a meeting with the SDR organization yesterday, and they all know they're welcome to approach me or anybody else as we continue to move towards building out this organization. And we're getting close. We're in an active interview cycle right now for hiring a leader for that organization. So when they come on board, those conversations will continue. Any other questions?
Yeah, sure, Evan. I got one real quick. I figured it'd be quick. I'll go ahead and finish typing it afterwards, but I didn't want the big pause. Did I hear that right? That comm AEs are going to also have one-to-one SDR coverage? And if so, if I did hear that right, what's the timetable for that?
It will not be one-to-one, and I think you heard me say it in the room too when we were at Contribute. But it will not be one-to-one initially. I don't know that we will be able to scale to one-to-one. That's part of why we'll have the acquisition team.
Okay.
I believe initially it will be, if my math serves me correctly, 4-to-1.
Okay.
And we're working on that alignment now, so we're talking to Ryan about that alignment now.
Okay.
The goal is to have that live by August 1st.
Great. Okay, great.
With you informed on who you're going to be mapped to way prior to that, so that you can start working together on building out a territory plan.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Any other questions? You don't have to type them out. You can shout them out or even put them in the chat if you want to. No? Okay. Well, good deal. Well, feel free to post them in the SDR channel or reach out to me directly if anything comes up. Appreciate everyone's time, and we can go ahead and wrap this up. Take care.